head of Operation PUSH, which is People United to Save Humanity. Jesse and Reverend Jackson, we're glad to have you.
Good to be here.
Jesse, what do you think makes an organization like PUSH work over such an extended period of time?
A combination of need and desire. Need is the basis of an organization. It is very difficult to create an organization around that which is unnecessary. And so if one tried to organize an organization today for the purpose of getting public accommodations, you couldn't do it because we have public accommodations. If one were trying to organize an organization around the right to sit on the front of the bus, you couldn't do it because we have that right. But if you organized around the need for a job or an income, your chances of organizing are very great because people need a job or an income. Or if you organize around a move to eliminate violence and vandalism from schools, in some way to enhance the life options of our children, you can do it because there is a need. So need is the basis of organization, and desire really becomes the drive and sustaining force to make it, to take it from an idea to a real program.
You know, Jesse, you were active in the active period about 10 years ago. There was a lot of protest, a lot of movement then. There's not as much protest now. Does it mean that you don't have to have protests to make progress?
It does not mean that. When the weapons expand, then oftentimes the techniques expand. Prior to 1965, there were less than 2 million registered black voters. And so since we did not have any internal mechanisms with which to fight, almost all of our fighting was either in the courts with a handful of lawyers confronting a judge and a jury, or external in the street trying to dramatize, in part, the fact that we did not have the power with which to fight. Within the last 13 years, we've gone from 2 million to 9 million registered black voters, from 3 black congressmen to 16 congresspersons, a U.S. senator, more than 100 black mayors, and thus on a day-to-day basis, in ways not so dramatic as in a given march from Selma to Montgomery, there's probably more activity now than there was 10 years ago, but the front has been broadened in terms of the struggle. I am convinced that we must be willing to use every weapon in our arsenal in our struggle, but timing is always a critical factor. Some fights must continue in the courts, some must in the halls of Congress and the various halls of legislature, but we can never give up the right for massive, dramatic, direct action. I am convinced that before we break loose this logjam on insufficient jobs for the poor and the young, that massive direct action is going to be required. Let us not forget that...
What's that mean, massive direct action?
It really means demonstrations. It means that so long as the people who are in power are able to go back and forth every day comfortably and only theorize about unemployment and never have to come face to face with it threatening their present status, that nothing really is going to happen.
So you see demonstrations in the future?
There's no doubt in my mind that massive disciplined demonstrations will take place, or massive undisciplined riots are going to occur.
When is this, Jesse?
Well, one hates to predict it generally, certainly not to put a time on it, as if I'm the one to put the time bomb.
But where do you see the festering sore, the wound?
I see it in 65% unemployment among black youth. A rising
65%?
A rising sense of desperation in the black community. I see it in the inconsistency in the judicial system. There are about 400,000 prisoners in the American system, federal, state, and local, and slightly over 75% of those are black or brown. In other words, of 400,000 American prisoners, about 300,000 are black or brown. There are more black people locked up in American jails than any place in the free world. And it puts us in a very difficult position to use human rights as an international lever, when in fact the greatest violators are right here. Now, what is the cause of that? One, so many of our youth are there. They cannot get out on personal recognizance, like Nixon and Haldeman and Ehrlichman and the people who have power and privilege. Others cannot afford to pay the bail bond. Others stay in jail so long waiting for trial until when they come to trial. that they are released because they've spent more time waiting than is their actual sentence. Well, when you get unemployment combined with exploitation, you have the perfect formula for an explosion.
You have just gotten, or Push has just gotten, quite a large grant from HEW. The way you got it was very interesting. Why don't you tell us a little bit about that?
And well, first of all, it'd be fair to say it's not a large grant. We're talking about $45,000, $25,000 of which we plan to have at Howard University, May 17th, 18th, and 19th. May 17th, of course, is the anniversary of the 54th Supreme Court decision. A national conference on excellence. We're concerned that we shift our emphasis from educational existence to educational excellence. We're concerned that our youth are given a live alternative to the drug culture and the paths of decadence and self-destruction. And thus we must challenge them and motivate them and protect them en route to achieving the highest and best within them. This movement has taken on so much concern now across political boundaries and parties and across racial lines until it's necessary to have a national conference. HEW is helping Push to sponsor that conference. We will have parents and preachers and scholars and labor leaders and others dealing with this fundamental question of excellence and motivation and opportunity. The other part of it is a grant to plan for an extended grant that will allow us to stabilize the Excel concept in several major cities around the country, and hopefully those dramatic examples will make a meaningful impact upon this terrible trend of rising violence and drug addiction in public schools across this country.
We're going to take a break and come right back with Reverend Jesse Jackson.